Hey everybody, welcome back for the Post-Gazette's final training camp report of 2025 for the Steelers. I'm Brian Batko alongside Ray Fittipaldo, or at least this is the last one we can really tell you everything that happened from here on out. The reporting rules will be different. We'll be a little bit more vague, but this was the last open practice to fans out here at Saint Vincent College for the summer. And as always, this is brought to you by Savina's Kane and Gallucci, Pittsburgh's mesothelioma and asbestos lawyers. With over 85 years of experience in the industry, they will make the commitment that you and your family deserve. They've recovered millions for victims. Visit them at sdklaw.com if you need more information. And Ray, mine are a little scared today. They really went through all of camp without Aaron Rodgers getting touched or contacted, but he did kind of get bumped into, stepped on, whatever, by right tackle Troy Fautanu. He got wrapped with some ice, it looked like initially, and then there was a little bit of a bandage on his right kind of shin calf area, maybe just a scrape or a cut. But I was wondering for a second the irony of losing Russell Wilson on the first day last year and what it would be like if they had anything significant happen to Aaron Rodgers on the last day this year.
And I think there was a special teams period in between, and then Aaron Rodgers, I saw him jogging over to the main field, and then he was back in for the last couple of team periods. So Mike Tomlin was asked about that in his post-practice scrum, and he couldn't have blown it off more. He said it's nothing, he's fine, and he let it be known that Aaron returned and finished practice.
Yeah, he didn't miss any reps even, well, maybe one or two here and there, but probably crisis averted there. And it was a difficult, grueling day of practice. Safety one Thornhill said this actually might have been the toughest practice because of how hot and humid it was out here in Latrobe. I just changed my shirt. I was drenched in sweat after 3 hours outside with no shade anywhere to be found. Mike Tomlin likes it hot. He got that on the last day and in full pads, not as physical as some of those backs on backers practices, but they still did a lot of 11 on 11 work, and they'll probably have a light day tomorrow before they break camp and head back home for that joint practice with the Bucs.
Yeah, and it's not over. Mike Tomlin always stresses that this portion of training camp is over, but they're going to have a tough joint practice against the Buccaneers on Thursday. They'll play them on Saturday, and then the rest of training camp, Brian, will wrap up at their facility on the south side. So there's still 26 days to go before the regular season, 2 more preseason games. So it's not over. Now it just shifts down to the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex.
Yeah, this is just the part where they kind of get calloused, as Aaron Rodgers put it. And he talked to us before practice and said he thought he's been playing better lately, and I think you saw that again today, Ray. And it's not perfect. It's not like there's not a ball hitting the ground, but I don't think he got tipped at the line at all today, which had been an issue throughout camp. He continues to have a rapport with DK Metcalf, and it's an offense that I think is still very much a work in progress, but at least for this portion of camp, they made some strides from the beginning to now, and Rodgers continues to get more comfortable with the system and the guys around him too.
I would say that the defense, if I had to just grade the camp overall, defense is still ahead of the offense, but the strides the offense took within the last 2 weeks, just mark it. I mean, it's so much better than what they showed in the first week. And when Aaron met with us last week, he's been through this, for 20 years now. He says that's to be expected. The defense is always going to be a little bit ahead early. And once the offense got its footing, I thought we start to really see some progress. And, I'll mention a couple of guys here, but constants throughout training camp, guys who did really well. Maybe I wasn't expecting it. Kenneth Gainwell. They just continue to use him a lot with the starters. He continues to make plays. And Scotty Miller, too. I know we mentioned him yesterday, but Scotty Miller has been a guy from start to finish, had a really impressive camp up here.
Yeah, Gainwell might have been the player of the day to finish things up here on Tuesday. He did have one bad drop that ended up getting tipped way up into the air, and it ends up being kind of a fluky play, but Jalen Ramsey picks it off, and yet I can't remember if it was Rodgers or Rudolph who went right back to Gainwell a couple plays later.
Touchdown.
And he scored a touchdown. He's been routing up defensive backs like a wide receiver, even though he is a tailback by trade. Ray, I mean, it is it's a situation now with this Steelers team. They go through this period where they learn a lot about each other. They didn't get out of it completely injury-free. Calvin Austin still hasn't returned. Jonnu Smith finished training camp without practicing. Calvin Anderson, the potential swing tackle. That's 3 guys right there on offense. And even their backup center, Ryan McCollum, has not worked in quite a while. So
Right.
those are 4 to keep an eye on as this team moves back behind closed doors. On the defensive side, it's really more so the guys fighting for roster spots. I mean, we know that Cam Hayward is still going to be out indefinitely holding in, but Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay were back today. It's the young guys behind them who are scratching and clawing for any opportunity. But we haven't seen Cory Trice in a while. We haven't seen Donte Kent in a while. It's getting late early for some of those DBs.
Yeah, we heard Terrell Austin say that Beanie Bishop and Pierre would be in dogfights to make this roster. One of Aaron Rodgers' interceptions today, but Pierre did pick him off over the middle. I think those were the only 2 picks. The one that Gainwell sort of tipped up into the air, and then the one Pierre had. I think he was covering Roman Wilson. So yeah, like when guys like Cory Trice are out, and if you make yourself available, you practice every day like Pierre and Bishop have, that actually means something to the coaches, because it tells you they can stay healthy, and they can obviously go out there and perform well on special teams. So lots to be decided. I'm probably going to do another 53-man projection, and Trice's injury, Calvin Austin's injury, all these injuries and these what ifs kind of make it difficult to predict really what's going to go down here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they do. But as we wrap this up, Ray, what are going to be kind of your lasting images or memories from training camp in 2025? I guess in a lot of ways, it's kind of like it always is. It's for the team and for Mike Tomlin, as much as it's about, getting good work on the field, it's about those little moments and the dorms. And, I think from a fan experience, it's the stuff that you see all the way up until the end. Jaylen Warren taking selfies with people along the fence, Pat Fryermuth, giving his gloves to a little girl along the sideline, or DK Metcalf signing autographs for everybody. I mean, that's what they get out of training camp here as well, and I don't see that ending anytime soon.
No, and it's a unique experience. And Mike Tomlin talked about it again after practice day. They're one of the few teams in the NFL who go to these destination camps, and those little moments, the interactions with fans, I think, are something that the players will remember a long time from now. But the biggest takeaway Mike Tomlin always talks about is just the camaraderie that you develop late at night, just talking with guys, just shooting the breeze. He really enjoys that part of it, and that's not to say that it won't take place at the South Side or during the season, but that's where the foundation for being a team is laid right up here in Latrobe.
And if they go on a nice run, if they finally get over that hump of winning a playoff game for the first time in 9 years, and we'll look back at some of these early weeks out here in Westmoreland County of, that iron sharpening iron aspect of it that Mike Tomlin always likes to talk about. So appreciate you guys for following along all, these last 3.5 weeks from our updates out here. Jerry Dulac's been around. For Ray, for Chris Carter, I'm Brian Batko. Appreciate you finding us on the Post-Gazette Sports Network here on YouTube, and we'll be back with you shortly.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.